Have you watched MSNBC lately? Likely you haven't. Like the Tootsies, you're not the target audience, but you should tune in sometime. It's remarkable. Given that opposing racism is America's national religion, it may surprise you to learn that open race hate forms much of the substance of that channel's programming. And when we say race hate, we're not referring to the subtle coded variety. You want border security? You giving your kids piano lessons? You like Shakespeare? You believe in the SAT? You must be a racist. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the kind of race hate you cannot mistake for anything else, the kind where people just come out and announce, I hate this race of people, and here's why I do. It's hard to believe that anything like that is happening right now on American television, but it is, out in the open. And the most amazing and the most creepy part of all is that no one is saying anything about it. It's all but ignored. And honestly, we had no idea it was going on either until we started getting texts from people. Are you watching this? Can you believe this? So we tuned in. Apparently on the left, what you're about to see is considered completely normal, even good. And that should worry you deeply. You don't want to live in Rwanda. But on MSNBC, they're already there. Now, you probably knew about Joy Reid, the race lady, who's been fixated on race hate for years now. But MSNBC has a new host, someone called Tiffany Cross, who hosts a show called The Cross Connection. Here's a selection.
Many of us have seen the dangers when powerful white people decide they want something, they annex it. And they've never had a problem replacing the people who stand in their way.
We see American white people are going crazy. They're resorting to violence.
This is literally what conservative white folks do when they don't get their way. They turn violent.
White people deputizing themselves in some position of authority to have jurisdiction over their life when they need to mind their blanking business.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about washed up Tiffany Cross. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Tiffany Cross. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are. We cover her quite a bit when she still had a show on MSNBC. Okay, this lady was like Joy Reid light. That clearly was her angle. And she spent a lot of time on her show talking trash about white people, talking about white supremacy, racism. You guys know what the woke revolutionaries love to talk about on these liberal airwaves. That's what she did until her show eventually got canceled because nobody was really watching her show despite her claims. Her show was not that popular, right? And she got fired after being accused of essentially mishandling the company card on trips where she would pay for luxury hotels as if she was actually really a superstar, right? And she's not. But this is what she was accused of doing. Allegedly, she was told by the higher ups, hey, you need to stop attacking other hosts on other networks that have more clout and star power than you do because you're not going to be able to win by going at them, okay? They're going to destroy you, right? They didn't want the network to get embarrassed by Tiffany Cross trying to punch above her weight. Like, for example, trying to go after people like Tucker Carlson. So regardless of the reason why she was fired, right? She was fired. She was let go. And of course, she has to come out and try to now explain why she was fired because she has a new podcast with Angela Ree, who's also a washed up liberal media personality, and Andrew Gillum, who is a crackhead that tried to run for governor of Florida. I think one of the best things that Trump did was endorse DeSantis to give him the victory over that guy, okay? Because Florida would not be the free state that it is without Trump. So without further ado, I actually want to go ahead and roll the clip of Miss Tiffany Cross explaining why she got fired on her new podcast to try to promote her podcast. And of course, nobody should be surprised in regards to some of the reasonings behind why she's claiming she got fired. Take a look.
I was invited to appear on Morning Joe. So, Joe Scarborough, I'm sure y'all have watched Joe Scarborough before. On the segment right before I was coming on, Joe Scarborough started saying that he wanted the Republican Party to get their act together. He didn't want his country run by some of the leftists who were running countries like Portland. And he called out some other municipalities that this was right after at the height of Black Lives Matter. And so he said, we got to get it together. And the Republican Party is failing. Donald Trump turned the party racist. So when I was introduced, I obviously had a lot to say about that. That there's an unspoken rule that you're not supposed to disagree with Joe, but I didn't get that memo. Even if I had, I don't know how much attention I would pay to it. And so when it came time for me to speak, I went through very specific policies, talked about Ronald Reagan, talked about George Bush, and made the point that even though they may have been more articulate, their policies were just as damaging to Black folks. Well, after I got off the air, he continued to talk about it. He was very upset, apparently. And so when he left set, he was beside himself. That's how it was described to me. I was told from several reputable sources, including a talent agent, 2 anchors, and another executive at the network, that he left set and went into the president's office, the president of the network, to complain about my segment, complained that I disagreed with him, said that I called him racist, and suggested that I should not be Joy Reid's successor to get the show. I want you all to know every single week from the start of my show to the very last show I did, it was a battle. Every single week, it was a battle to cover things that I wanted to talk about. The network's philosophy was Trump, 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 Trump. They wanted me to be part of the echo chamber, and I fought as hard as I could. When I would fight these battles, I know y'all know exactly what I mean. I was spoken to in the most condescending ways. I mean, anything from being told the definition of news. Me, with my 20-plus year career in news and broadcast and television, I would have somebody sit across from me and explain to me how news worked. I had my intelligence questioned. In fighting these battles, I can't lie, I made some enemies. I held the line. I didn't acquiesce because for me, what was the point in having this platform if I'm going to show up and spit out some vanilla granola boringness and hope that one day maybe the white man will let me host his Today Show? I've just never seen that happen. I have never seen anybody be rewarded for acquiescing to the comfort of white folks. But one night, Tucker Carlson dedicated the top of his show to me. After this, the network did not issue a statement the way they had for some of my white colleagues who had also been targeted by MAGA extremists. Instead, network executives spoke to me and instructed me that I could not respond to Tucker Carlson at all. Then they began to scrutinize my show. Every little thing I wrote, every little thing I said before the show, after the show. After the show, it was always, here's all the things that you said, here's all the things that you did wrong. The ratings didn't lie, but according to them, people must just be tuning in to criticize me because that's all they had was criticism. Never thanks for doing a good job. Never thanks for bringing so many new viewers to the network. This was 4 days before midterms and 1 day before my show was going to air. We had booked an exclusive sit down with Stacey Abrams, who, as you all know, was in the fight for her life, running for governor at that time. That morning, I got a call from the president of the network saying they would not be renewing my contract, which was up in a month, and that my viewers would not even be given the courtesy or respect of me being able to sign off or have a final show. I think it's important that you all know when that happens, it suggests to other people in the industry that this person is so unhireable that we could not trust her with a live mic. And I was never given an official reason for why they canceled my show, but it was pretty obvious that I had drawn the ire of white conservatives, which even made some white liberals uncomfortable. So I had to go. Never mind that millions of people found my voice to reflect theirs. Despite me not saying anything at the time, other than to issue a very politely worded and gracious statement, mostly for my viewers, a statement in which did not attack the network at all or say anything bad about them, the network began attacking me. They planted hit pieces in the press. The president of the network began a bizarre, unhinged tour where she was on damage control. I don't know what she was trying to do, but it was filled with outright lies, including showing up on the set of The View. It's very strange for the president of a competing network to show up at another network and talk directly to their talent. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah, so you see, Nate, heard that. Okay, that's a fascinating segment for a variety of reasons, right? Because she kind of exposes NBC in ways that I agree with and in other ways that I think are kind of silly. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, Tiffany Cross is responsible for her own firing. But like a lot of these women, they don't want to take any type of accountability or responsibility when it comes to their role and why they get fired, right? Why they lose their jobs. Okay. The one thing I do agree with Tiffany Cross on that she did say is the fact that MSNBC is obsessed with Trump, right? And asking their host to come out here and to obsess with Trump every single day, honestly, is the reason why Trump is as popular as he is right now, right? This is the reason why Trump is leading in the poll. It's actually the main reason, right? The attacks from the mainstream liberal media and from the Democrats, the politically charged persecutions. Yeah, that's why Trump is finding so much success. So I do think that she's right about that. And I would be super frustrated as well, too, if, you know, I had executives telling me that, hey, you got to come out here and talk about Trump every single day, right? You got to go on a Trump deranged rant every single day like Joe Scarborough tends to do and all the other hosts on that network tend to do. Yeah, I'll be annoyed by that too, right? But I think that's like the only thing in her commentary that I agree with, because honestly, what she's trying to do here is she's trying to blame race, because when all else fails, just play the race card, right? I got fired because of racism, because of white conservatives upset, because of Joe Scarborough. It's the white man, right? The white man is the reason why I lost my job, even though the person responsible for her being fired is actually a black woman, okay? Rashida Jones, who is the president of MSNBC, fired Tiffany Cross, okay? She's a black woman that works for MSNBC, so she's probably liberal. And she fired Tiffany Cross. But yet Tiffany Cross is coming out here and trying to blame everybody else. It's the white man's fault, right? Instead of just owning up to the fact that, hey, I did something that they asked me not to do, right? Your commentary was not in line with the standards for MSNBC. And I'm going to tell you something. That's a super low bar, right? I mean, you really have to be off the rails in order to have commentary that's not up to their standards, okay? Because MSNBC, in my opinion, damn near supports domestic terrorism from far leftists in this country, okay? But her commentary was so off the walls. It was so overtly racist against whites that conservative media, people like Tucker Carlson, picked up on it. And he ran an amazing piece where he essentially compared Tiffany Cross's commentary to the hate and vitriol that was spewed across the Rwandan airways during the Rwandan genocide, right? So that commentary from Tucker Carlson is essentially what ended Tiffany Cross's career, because she wanted to get in a back and forth with Tucker Carlson. And the network said, no, you're shooting above your weight, right? Like, this guy is in a whole nother category. You should not attack him. And I don't blame the network for telling Tiffany Cross, don't attack Tucker Carlson, right? Don't attack a guy who you're clearly not on the same level of when it comes to commentary, because you're going to lose every single time, okay? That piece from Tucker Carlson on Tiffany Cross was probably one of the most vicious pieces that I've ever seen in my life in regards to taking down a liberal media host, right? Because, I mean, you have just straight up overt examples of anti-white commentary being spewed on MSNBC's airways. Commentary that, again, if you had a white man saying these exact same things they were saying about white people on MSNBC about black folks, no chance, right? Absolutely zero chance, right? They would have been fired a long time ago. But the only reason Tiffany Cross was able to get away with it is because she's a black woman. However, it was so overt, it was so racist, it was so hateful that even MSNBC said, this is too much for us, right? This is too overt, okay? Which it really blows my mind why Joy Reid still has a job, because Joy Reid is in that territory as well too. Now, I'm not sure nowadays, has she calmed down? I haven't really reacted to Joy Reid like that. The latest video I reacted to Joy Reid was the Iowa caucus, where, you know, she was essentially crying and whining about white Christians, essentially saying that they're the reason why Nikki Haley didn't get more votes in the caucus. Okay, again, this is a woman that complains about white people all the time, while at the same time showing that she is fully colonized with a blonde wig, right? It's pretty fascinating stuff, okay? Yeah, other than that, I haven't talked about Joy Reid in a long time, okay? Because, I don't know, maybe she has calmed down a little bit, right? Just a little bit in regards to the overt anti-white racism that is spewed on MSNBC. So Tiffany Cross coming out here and boohoo whining and crying about the white man, right? How the white man calls her lose her job when a black woman fire her is absolutely hilarious, right? It's the same thing these people do every single time they get fired or they face consequences for their actions. Oh, no, it's the white man, right? It's not me. It's not the fact that I continue to spew anti-white racism that prompted that type of response. Again, she was taking shots at Tucker Carlson a lot, right? They love to call Tucker Carlson an anti-Semite. He's a white supremacist, yada, yada, yada. This is what they were doing. And Tucker finally responded and he ethered her, right? He ended her career, right? It is what it is. Okay, there's a reason why MSNBC told you to leave him alone, because it is dumb to attack him, again, knowing who he is. Okay, so yeah, this is why they were questioning your intelligence. They were like, yeah, you're dumb. Are you stupid, right? Because you're doing something we told you not to do. You're attacking somebody that is going to destroy your career, right? And damage the reputation of this network because he's responding to your overtly racist commentary, right? You're exposing us, okay? This is what they didn't want. They didn't like that. They know that Tucker Carlson got the juice. You don't have the juice. And this is why these people are struggling to maintain relevance and to start shows after they get fired, right? People like Don Lemon as well, too. It's like, well, if you have the juice like that, if you're really so popular, if you feel like your show's ratings were so good and your firing was unjustified, you should start your own show. And you should get just as many viewers, if not more. But what you see almost every single time is that these people struggle. They struggle after they get fired because they don't have the backing of these corporate media giants anymore, right? And without the backing of these corporate media giants, they start to realize that, oh, wait, nobody really cares about what I have to say, right? That the only people that was tuning into my show is simply because that was a built-in audience that watches MSNBC anyways, which again, these are strange people, right, that watch MSNBC, but I'm just saying. Now she started this Native Lands podcast in which they're so desperate for viewership, where you have people like Angela Ree, who also is one of these, woke race hustlers that always boo-hoo-whine and cry on racism and bigotry when things don't go their way. She's out here basically trying to make Chris Cuomo out to be some type of predator because he sent her a text with a joke about a bikini that she was wearing in an obvious thirst trap picture on Instagram that she posted. Now you got Tiffany Cross up here boo-hoo-whining and crying about racism in regards to why she was fired. Trying to expose Joe Scarborough, who, by the way, I'm not a fan of. But he was totally right when it came to his commentary on the BLM protests and how these far leftists are out of control. I just wish he would stick to that, right? I wish he would talk about that a lot more. If he talked about that a lot more, he actually has some more credibility. So, hey, I can't be too upset when the wokes are eating themselves, but still, Tiffany Cross is blaming everybody except herself. If she would not have spewed her racist, hateful vitriol on that network, she would not have prompted that type of response from conservative media and Tucker Carlson, and she would have most likely probably kept her job. And you have nobody else to blame but yourself because you were punching above your weight, and unfortunately, you got KO'd, right? Sorry, it is what it is. Don't blame the white man. Blame yourself. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.